All right. Good morning, everybody. So, frequencies. Yeah, they were pretty much aggressive last night because I was wide awake at 3 a.m. So were other people that were in Texas. And I'm going to say that frequencies in the world, they could be stronger in some areas and not as strong as other areas. And you just got to be careful about a lot of things. Because right now I'm in a very high frequency area. High frequency area. And like I said before, accidents are happening. I was up at 3 a.m. I had a few weird dreams about China, but that's about it. I mean, I think one little part that I remember was having a door to a room of my hotel where I actually buttoned up my door to make it lock. And that was it. I don't remember really what the context of that was. But yeah, I was blowing my nose a little bit. Okay. And but not a lot. I mean, I was blowing my nose a lot. But yeah, I mean, this morning, I didn't release too many demons this morning. But yeah, it was just like, okay, we know that these frequencies are insane. They are insane. And they were going to get even more so. I mean, with that volcano over there in Mexico. Okay, now that right there is an indicator. Anyone that lives near a volcano, just be aware. And when you start hearing rumblings, and you start, when things start waking up in your town, in your area, if you live near like Mount Rainier, Mount Shasta, any of these volcanoes, even in like Kilauea or Mauna Loa, one of those. Yeah, I don't know. I would really be just very aware and have some kind of plan, okay? Because at this point, like people in Mexico, 25 million people are under potential evacuation order as that the ash and the clouds are becoming stronger and stronger. And those that left America to go live in Mexico, maybe it's time to come back to America and figure out how you're going to weather this whole climate change and weather this great reset. And it's probably not a good idea if you're from the first world to be sitting in a third world country. It's probably not a good idea. And I've said this before, okay? The system is not going to destroy all of the first world and then say, okay, now we're going to go and employ a bunch of third world people who have to be trained and acclimated and brought up to a level that they've already done so much work in the first world. Why would they go and do that and start over again, essentially? They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't go and destroy all of the first world and just leave the third world there to do what with. It's like reinventing the wheel. The power elite are not that stupid. And so if you're in the first world and there's certain places in the first world are going to be like questionable, like you're seeing people leave California in droves. You see LA and San Francisco and Sacramento under so much homeless. Maybe that is an indicator that maybe it's time to leave California. Maybe it's time. Okay? Because I'll tell you, the Anarchapulco and the anarchy, the whole anarchy stuff, it was another psychological operation of which most of the big leaders now have disbanded and or are promoting like gold and silver or still posting about shit of the left wing because they're still pretty much tied to the right wing or the Alex Jones world. So it is time to go and rethink some stuff. Yeah, many of us, myself included, which is why I got out of the activism world, have been psychologically opped and given another reason to go be an activist, but then not paying attention to yourself. Okay? So, So I say at 3 a.m. Morning, Tanya. I like seeing your face, Tanya. Tanya's awesome. She's understanding what's going on. Thank fucking God. You and Audrey and John and other people are figuring it out. So anyways, it was 3 a.m. last night. I'm almost wide awake, pretty energetic as I was. Okay. And body is going through an energy conversion. I woke up to sweat in my eyes, sweat all over my face. It was like I was drenched, as if I ran a mile and decided to go and lay down while I was sweating. But none of the rest of my body was sweating, only my face. It was really weird. And I'm realizing that, yeah, you know, when the body is doing what it has to do to survive, like I felt something weird. Like I almost choked on something, but I don't know if I did or not. I can sort of remember something, but not really. Like I knew I had to blow my nose and stuff. Good morning, Tanya. I knew I had to blow my nose and stuff, but I felt like I just like diverted something. Like I just like dodged something. That's what I mean. I felt like I just dodged something. And it was the weirdest feeling. And so, yeah, when you're sweating at night, it's your body going through energy conversions, trying to save your fucking life. Because when you're sleeping, that's when things start doing what it needs to do to take care of you, to keep you alive. Because during the day, you bring in the food, you bring in the knowledge, you take in the information microbially or intellectually, psychologically, whatever, physically. And so you're keeping your body alive. You are like the one that does the stuff, right? At night is when the body has to go and take those resources and distribute them. And or do something to fight against anything that is too excessive. And so when you have sweat, when you're sweating and you're drenched, it means your body was making sure that it kept you alive while you were sleeping so you don't die in your sleep. Okay? People are like, oh my God, you have menopause. You should go get a diagnosis and go take medication. Go take this and go take that. Blah, blah, blah. Whenever you take anything for your body's organic processes, you are stopping the body from living. That's why there's such an issue out there, is because you have been trained by the medical holistic system to stop your body from living when it's trying to live. No, I understand what exactly my body is doing at night when I'm sleeping. During the day, I'm up and I'm eating food, maybe watching some movies, and I go outside and take care of just the things I have to take care of. And maybe I go out and hang out with my husband and I do laundry and go up and down the stairs. And if I have to, you know, run around somewhere or drag something, I have the muscles to do that. And so my body is adapted to my lifestyle and my environment. And so as I go outside, go inside, I will take in and inhale microbes. I'll eat food that may have certain microbes that are not bad. But then at night when I'm sleeping, my body has to go and distribute and process that, but also the frequencies. Then we're bringing in a third entity, which is called the frequency. It's not really a third entity when you think about it. It's always been there, but we never gave too much credibility to the frequencies, to the external environment. Because we're so used to spring, summer, fall, winter. We're so used to the predictable season changes. Okay, from spring to summer, summer to fall, winter to spring, and vice versa and all that. And so we have the cold and flu season, allergy season, and the hot season, the cold season. But now it's like, okay, we're having the spring, summer, winter, fall, like in the span of 12 hours, 24 hours. And so then that also messes with the instability. Hey, Robert, with the stability versus instability in your body. And so then you also have proteins that are very active and that are alive. They're memories. You will have memories come up, weird memories. You'll have so many things telling you stuff. And you will have also activity. You will be sweating sometimes. And when someone has a full body sweat, it means the whole body was working on something, trying to keep it alive. The fact that you wake up every morning not only is a blessing, because what is blessing when you think about it? When I remember I said, don't say bless because it means be less. Well, yeah, in a lot of ways, I understand the other side of it. When your body's releasing sweat and other stuff, it's taking what was once something that could have hijacked your body and turned into cancer, disease, and chronic illness, and it released you. It was a blessing that it was released, because it could have taken over and turned into something horrifically diagnosable and potentially taken over your body and destroy you. Okay, so when you have a full body sweat, you know your body's going through major energy conversion, and you don't want to stop that either. You want to drink water. You want to eat food when you wake or when you get up and get moving. But you don't ever want to go like, oh God, I got to go to a doctor because I'm sweating. Drink water. When you sweat a lot, you're losing water. You lose electrolytes. So what you do, replenish that. You eat food, salty food, sugar food, all kinds of food. You drink water, milk, cream. But people do is the complete opposite. They get alarmed, they get scared, and they're calling their fucking family doctor, who has basically destroyed everyone ever since great grandma was alive. And that's how these systems get people. And so, yeah, body's going through an energy conversion. Woke up to my face sweating, but that's about it. Everything else is working correctly, the way it's supposed to. What do you mean by working correctly? It's always been working correctly. I just never understood it until the last few years. But everything's working fine, as opposed to what's not fine. I couldn't even tell you what's not fine, because everything we told about what's not fine is energy and pain and sweat and mucus. And so I just want to let you know that everything's working fine. Nothing is not working. Everything's working great. My heart's beating. I can taste stuff. I can blow my nose. I poop, I sneeze, I cough, blow my nose. Everything's working fine. And my body is able to express itself without me trying to stop it, like most people do. And so I'm reading about more accidents I'm reading about in different local crime groups. It's pretty much not only daily, but probably every few hours, somebody's getting into an accident, especially over here. That's why I stay off the street. I don't walk anywhere, really. I don't even drive. I let my husband drive his car to work and back when he comes home. I don't even need a car. If I need this stuff, I need stuff, absolutely need stuff, and I'll get it delivered. But I don't purposely put myself out there. But however, I know, sometimes on the weekends, I'll go hang out with my husband and we'll just do stuff. But I'll have to be on guard. I can't totally be sequestered, because you got to be able to keep your senses on point, and it has to be in environments that are sort of strange so you can keep things sharp. Okay? But I don't always tempt fate. I won't. I'm not trying to go and battle everyone every day all the time. And when you're going out all the time, if you don't have to, I mean, when you have to work, yeah, you have to be do what you got to do. But if you don't have to go out and everything is you pretty much can work from home and all that, there's no point in going out there unless you absolutely have to. And so, yeah, people are dying from heart attacks and strokes or having events behind the wheel. That's the scary part out there. Not only have to be careful of yourself, but you also have to be careful of other people. And so, yeah. And so now when it comes to, let me see something here. I don't like that transition. Okay, so people are literally falling apart. So I'm reading like the news and stuff, and I see people say that they've had broken arms, broken legs, broken ankles, broken this, broken that. I don't like how my hair is today. That's okay. And people's bones are deteriorating. They are literally deteriorating. And why are they deteriorating? Because they're not getting all the nutrients, and because of deficiencies and of lack of processing food properly and efficiently. But they have a bunch of antibodies in the body that's eating up their infrastructure, like literally eating up their infrastructure. And not only that, but the frequencies are so aggressive that it's actually causing entropy to their structure, to their infrastructure, to their bones. Like their bones are slowly breaking apart and disintegrating. And that can happen with someone with so much protection that is morbidly obese and someone who is literally underweight, like really skinny, underweight. And so then you have things like Schaefer shared that her foot slid out from beneath her while stepping over a row of bushes, leading to her hamstring being completely torn from the pelvic bone. A rare injury. It won't be very rare nowadays. Arms on children, like their wrists, are breaking. Adults who are deficient in minerals and all that, the weight-bearing parts of their bones are going to be breaking or have been breaking. We know people have back issues out there. People are breaking hips, are getting implants like rods or hip replacements, stuff to put them together. It's happening. Okay? So people are literally falling apart and they're breaking things so easily in this environment. And their muscles are tearing easily. But why is that again? Well, yeah, but I'm eating food because you're not releasing the demons and it's so freaking aggressive out there. What do you mean release the demons? Again, with all those antibodies from all the generations of exposure, trauma, using the food as medicine against your body's defense systems. What do you mean using food as medicine? Okay, like I said before, a couple months ago, people are using walnut oil. They're using garlic oil. They're using all these different food oils. They're using foods that are mixed in with aggressive elements, attacking the body's processes. What do you mean by processes? Attacking cancers, attacking warts and growths, attacking mucus, taking medicine against the body's defense system of coughing, sneezing. When their body's trying to poop, they're taking Imodium. They may have milk of magnesia or something. Okay, so when you're taking foods as medicine and you have all these antibodies that's literally eating you up inside, I'm trying to get back to the main point here. Then you have food allergies, so you're starving, and so you're not getting the food, and you're developing a demon, which is basically something that attacks all the food. Then things become more aggressive. Aggressive as developing mucus and choking you and then drowning you and causing asthma and everything else. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out how I'm trying to say all this and bring everything kind of together as far as the body breaking down and yeah, okay. So Schaefer shared that her foot slid out from beneath her while stepping over a row. So yeah, bones are breaking, muscles are breaking, they're falling apart. Then they're getting food allergies. Oh God. Okay, so let me read this. I'm telling you, there's so much, like I'm trying to cover everything in the world here, and I have to, because everything is going to be on steroids in this environment. Okay? Food allergies, they will also be on steroids in this environment, and it is insane. So, give me 1 second. Yeah, I wrote that twice. Okay. So people are really falling apart and breaking things they don't. And so, yeah, when people don't know the issue is or whose fault it is, they are given a scapegoat. And so, of course, they're blaming all the different things out there. All right, let me get back to center here because it's just like, fuck. How do you explain all this and bring it all together so people freaking get it? Why do you want people to get it? Because they got to see that everything is connected out there. And so in this environment, people who are full of oxytocin will act out those hormones. So when you have certain proclivities, no matter what, hormonal proclivities that are either you're underweight or you're gaining so much weight rapidly, or you have angst, or you have violent tendencies, or you're extremely smart, or you have food allergies, or shit. I mean, anything, any personality in your dog, in you, in your children, and your children are really like full of those specific demons until they're taking in more knowledge of the world to help like reorganize and dilute the aggressive things that are running them. And so what is this environment going to do? It's going to accelerate everyone's intentions. It's going to accelerate everyone's intentions. And what do we mean by intentions? Well, accelerate their personality types. If they're intending to lose weight, they will lose weight so quick that they might die. If they're intending to gain some weight, okay, gain some weight, but then you have to know how to release so it doesn't get away from you. If you are a violent person, you will get triggered into violence, and there'll be things that you will gravitate towards to bring that up, whether it's music, whether it's alcohol, drugs, or other things. And so that's where diverse company can be really dangerous. And so in this environment, people who are full of oxytocin, full of love, will act out those hormones, and they will be constantly horny, looking for stuff. And sometimes they will act upon it and even do things that they probably wouldn't normally do if given the opportunities. So then they become predatory. Okay, so that's why predators are so prevalent right now, because their proclivities are now being accelerated. They can't control it anymore to the level that they used to, because the environment wasn't that bad. Jesus, people. Block. And so it wasn't that bad. And so then, before, I mean, it was bad, but they had medication. There's other things that were going on. And so then now in this environment, the energy in this environment is bringing up those hormones to go and do those type of things to people. And so that's why you got to be careful out there of the predators, because of that stuff coming up. And so in this environment, people who are full of oxytocin will act out those hormones. People who are violent will be more violent. People who are sick will become sicker. People who are smart will become smarter. The maturation rate in children will be accelerated, and the aging process in adults will also be accelerated. Okay? So just look at your Facebook. Everything is accelerated, like everything. Even the trolls are accelerating their intentions. But at least they're doing it on Facebook versus in your backyard, like a zombie, putting their face to your back window and like that. That's essentially what a lot of people on Facebook do when they have those kind of proclivities, is they're like zombies putting their face against your bedroom window trying to fuck with you. Okay? And that's why you get the very good measures on blocking and deleting people. I keep my stuff open because I don't mind people looking at my stuff, but it also does invite zombies when you think about it. But then I just block and delete. Okay? And so you will see an acceleration of people's personalities come out in this environment. And that's why I say you must mind your own business. You don't know who you'll trigger in the public square. And so this is also why you'll see an acceleration of crime and violence and overdoses, animal attacks, and everything under the sun. And so it is extremely unpredictable out there. So even animals who are bred to attack or bred to be lovey, yeah, they'll love you to death, but they'll be using a lot of energy to love you to death. Okay? And if they're bred to be so on guard, they will be triggered like that. And that's why you have to be really careful how you breed your dog or how you handle your dog and all that, because even, dogs now could be unpredictable. Wild animals are obviously unpredictable. And you see that like with the orcas, the killer whales that are sinking ships over there in Europe. Shark attacks, things, everything is becoming accelerated. So even be careful going into the water. Even the animals, like the alligators and stuff. You don't want to fuck with these animals that are predatory. They used to be kind of under like low key because the environment was relatively low key. In an accelerated environment like this, nothing is low key. Nothing is off the table. And so it is extremely unpredictable out there. And it'll be more so, which is why diverse company is probably not a good idea. You don't know who you will trigger. This is why everything must be mostly virtual. So you stay home, stay safe. And if you do have to go out, find something secluded, not crowded. Okay? Because everyone's intentions and personalities and proclivities will be extremely accelerated unless you're willing to do something different. It's like you literally need to slow down, and I don't mean take downers. All right? And so, about representation, like somebody speaking for you, when someone speaks for you, whoever they write about you, which means they're trying to speak for you, they're actually writing about themselves. They literally are writing about themselves. So that's something to remember, is that whenever you're writing, you really are writing about yourself. But some people don't want to face the responsibility of facing their own demons, so they write about other people. But in reality, they're actually writing about themselves. And that was like a no-duh when we learned that people, whenever they filter information, they filter it through their own biases and belief system and fears and lack of experience or lack of tolerance. And so when people don't know what the issue is or whose fault it is, they are given a scapegoat. Okay? And so that scapegoat is giving them an absolution. They don't have to face whatever. And so that's why you don't let anyone, write about your situation if you're a victim or even a perp. You speak for yourself. Okay, so when I said don't let anyone speak for you unless you absolutely have to, like a lawyer, anyone who speaks for you will find a way to spin it to their interest, not yours. Okay? And that's why those lawyers and reporters, always the one that wins. It's never the perp or the victim that's being written about. So, which is why, at some point, humans must learn how to speak for themselves around their own body, mind, and spirit. No one else represents who they are. Humans don't even know who they are because they've adopted somebody else's way. One day they'll speak for themselves in their own words, not somebody else's. So that's why I've had an issue with politics, religion, and science. Because politics, you have Trump and Biden and DeSantis and whoever speak for you. Religion, you have Jesus, Jehovah, Satan, and Yahweh, and Allah, and whoever else out there speak for you. And science, you have Tesla and Albert Einstein and Nietzsche and Jung and Freud and Copernicus and all the different thinkers out there speak for you. But has anyone really speaking? Are they really speaking for themselves? When you think about what you write out there, are you trying to parrot Alex Jones? Is he speaking for you? Is Luke Rudkowski speaking for you? Is Matt Landman in the chemtrails world speaking for you? And I'm not slamming them. I'm just saying that they have their vision of how things are. And I completely understand it. Why do you share in that same vision? What is about the vision that they have that you have the same one? Isn't there another vision out there besides the same one out there? Well, what about Jillian, you, about people following you? I'm not blaming anyone. I'm not worshiping anyone. I'm not part of the politics. I'm not part of the religions or the science dogmas. I understand all sides of an issue. There is no one specific issue that I'm like glomming onto. I'm not putting out any herbs or extracts or remedies. I'm just saying that, yeah, you're going to see people's demons come up, and there's a way to get it out from under them. You got to release the demons, pull that shit out, eat food, face your pain, stay home and stay safe. If possible, slow the hell down because this environment is so accelerated, and people's, proclivities and personalities are going to be on steroids. But that's the thing. That's why I stay away from all the different politics, religion, and science, because that's somebody else speaking for you. Why couldn't you speak for yourself? Because someone put a muzzle on you a long time ago. Your parents, your teachers, your politicians, your drug dealer, it could be your pharmacist or some dude down the street. They muzzled you with drugs. They muzzled you with herbs and extracts and detoxes. They muzzled you with starvation. They told you you couldn't do this. They said you're not capable of this. They said you should not feel this. They said go get oncology. And so that actually stops your intelligence. They said now you have to go into sports. Now you have to go and do this. Like they have set your life up to be something that they want you to be. And so you could never speak for yourself. And that's the whole thing with parent and children. Kids are like the mouthpiece for their parents, and they'll do everything their parents say until they get a mind of their own, or they fall over the cliff with their parents. Or their parents save themselves and maybe the kid has a chance. But that's the thing, is we've allowed so many people to speak for us that we've lost our voice. So finally, I'm saying to my J world, maybe it's time to get a different voice, get a voice of your own. Because everything that you're saying right now is because somebody else told you to say it, or told you to believe it, or told you to go and repeat it on loop. And so, yeah, humans who belong in the politics, religion, and science world, they're not speaking for themselves. That's why I say you guys are you are clones. You are not speaking for yourself. You're speaking for somebody who's dead. You're speaking for some guru out there. You're speaking for some activist person out there. You're speaking for your own parents out there. You're speaking for your kids out there, if your kids are really influential. But are you really speaking for yourself? Like literally, when you go to the doctor, is that you saying you should go to the doctor, or is that somebody else telling you should go to the doctor? When you go to a homeopathic, an allopathic, or an osteopathic, or a whatever pathic, are you the one that's saying, I'm going to go see this, or is somebody telling you, you go see this? That's the thing that people don't realize in this world. Humans have not been able to really speak for themselves because they're always being led by somebody. Because they have all of those demons in the body, they don't release them. They don't see. When you die and reproduce, you are not speaking for yourself. When you constantly die and reproduce, you are always parroting somebody else, whether it's your parents, again, your community leaders, or some huge influential guru out there that sounds good to you because you have the same kind of frequency. See, frequencies, hello, but I'm not going to talk to anyone right now. Frequencies are can be very addicting if you don't know how to control how much you're bringing into your world. And so when you find someone with the right frequency, right, you're like, oh, wow, we're simpatico. Wow, we are aligned. Wow, we need to do this, this, and this together. Be careful of that, because that can become an addiction, a dependency, dependency. And I'm not saying that it's like antibiotic. No. But remember, diversity with tolerance and evolution is necessary in an ever-changing environment. Diversity and evolution is necessary in an ever-changing environment. And so that's why I say be careful glomming on to people. I mean, there's some people I'll go and share their posts, and they share my posts and all that stuff. It's good to have a little bit of a connection. But then remember, you run the risk of group mentality when that becomes something that you depend upon. So even I have to check that. Because in my world, I want to make sure I don't feel like I need to be dependent on anyone. Okay, as far as emotionally. I don't want to be emotionally dependent. I don't want to be physically dependent. I mean, I really don't love to be financially dependent, but at this point, it's what it is. It's the way our world works at this point. But I'd rather be financially dependent with my husband, with him, versus anyone else out there, because I know his demons, he knows my demons, and we work well together. And so, even though I have that straddling of being an independent woman right here, yeah, I am financially dependent on my husband, and I could play both sides. I understand both sides. I don't claim to be like a feminist. Like, I don't need a man. I absolutely like having my man. Okay? And it works. And it has worked. And it's working well for both of us. So, but yeah, but in a lot of ways, you know, I don't want to have that to be the sole thing. People are like, well, you need to have a relationship. You need to have this. You need to have that. Yeah, you can have a relationship without it turning into something that's addiction, where it fulfills a need. Because you're lonely, or because you need someone to go drink with, or do drugs with, or go and do so many things with. Okay? I mean, visiting different places and different people, eventually down the road, eventually that will happen. But as far as like a group of people that I hang out with all the time, nah. Because again, you know, it just depends on what's going on and why and how much. And really, you don't want to become too homogenized. Because then they fall into that group mentality, and there has to be a queen bee. And who's the queen bee? When you have 3 different queen bees or 5 different queen bees who all want to go and do stuff, right? So, yeah. So I'm always just very careful on how much I'm always looking at my interaction. Because, again, that's humans. That's why we've fallen into dying and reproducing. We come together and we break apart, come together and break apart, and then people don't learn from the past. When you want to look at living indefinitely, you're always checking your addictions. You're always checking what it is that you're doing with people and why. You're always checking your belief systems. And you're constantly developing your own voice. That's what I want for myself and for all humans out there, if possible. Is they develop their own voice, because that will then give you another avenue to redirect yourself to something potentially amazing, even help humans advance in whatever means. I couldn't tell you what it is, because you all have your specific strengths and weaknesses and things that you can contribute to society that would make it so much better. I mean, the elite haven't figured everything out. If they did, we would have people living indefinitely. But we haven't. So now we understand immortality on some level. So now, once we get that under our belt, most people under their belt of releasing the demons and dealing with the pain and eating food, what else is next? What else is possible, right? But you all have to be the one to do that. You all have so many unique strengths and so many unique ways of looking at the world, and it has to come out. There's so much buried treasure in all of you guys that I want to see that shit. But it's going to take time. It's going to take time. I mean, we need drones for the system. Yeah, we need someone to go and code and do this. That's why we have robots and AI, so they can do that work for us. And then what will you as a human do? Oh, believe me. When you have people doing, or drones or robots or people from third world countries doing things that you don't want to do, what could you be doing that would be so fucking amazing? But that would mean that you would have to bring in so much diversity within your body, mind, and spirit, bringing in so many nutrients and proteins. And when you gain weight and you bring in the diverse microbes in the foods, can you imagine what kind of evolution from all those chemical reactions? That's why I say it's necessary to gain some weight in this world right now, because that brings on intelligence. And you have no idea the frequencies that you're in right now are stopping you from evolving and even potentially destroying you. And people don't realize this because it's what they know. Things are just doing what they're doing. They're just going about their life. They have their perception on what they're doing, which is great. I'm not saying it's wrong. But I'll tell you, what I've noticed is that those who are doing the J juice, a lot of it, and they're cured, they don't see anything wrong with their lifestyle and belief system. And there's nothing wrong with it per se. But they're cured. There really is no evolution, and they're deteriorating too. So there really is no evolution. You're not going to uncover the treasures because there's no treasures to uncover, because it's all been frozen and deteriorating and being eaten. And jelly juice is a frequency. It's It's a very aggressive frequency. It's not poisonous, but it's highly ionic. And so then that translates into your lifestyle, your occupation, your belief systems, what you chant to yourself every single day. People are so used to a specific frequency, which is their lifestyle, their belief system, their politics, religion, and science. They don't even see that there's more to what they know and see and experience on a daily basis. What would happen if they turned off the music? What would happen if they stopped chanting the same thing? What would happen if they stopped reading the Bible or something? What would happen if they decided to change their job from a high-stress job to a lower-stress job? What would happen if they changed the way they did things, what they said? What would happen? That's what I'm introducing. What would happen if they stopped drinking alcohol? What would happen if they stopped and phased themselves doing drugs? What would happen if they ate more food and ate a food that they didn't? Now, here's the thing with food allergies and stuff. And this environment is going to be fucking insane because people have used food as medicine. And so it causes in the body to go into an anaphylactic type of response. And yeah, okay, asthma and things closing up. And so this is where you got to bring things in slowly. What would happen if you have a nut allergy? Somebody on Daily Mail, there's a kid that died from asthma because he has a severe nut allergy and he ate something, an apple crumble that had nuts in it, and he died from asthma. You see, this is the thing. When you know you have food allergies, and you know a world out there is not going to give a shit if you have a food allergy. No one's going to really care. Okay? Because they do what they do. Now you have to be the one to figure out how you're going to bring in that protein slowly so you don't fucking die from a food allergy, because people have used food as medicine in the holistic allopathic world. That's who develop all the allergies, is all the medicines. The intolerances to the environment is from all the medicines. I've said this many times about the holistic world selling all their tinctures, their food as medicine people. Oh, use food as medicine. But they're like, yeah, whatever, Jillian, you're stupid. Well, look at it now. People are dying from walnut allergies. People are dying from egg protein allergies. People are dying from tomato allergies. Why is that? Because we're using food as medicine. The system, the holistic and the allopathic, have weaponized the food against the people because they use it as medicine. And that's why people are not evolving. That's why they're in so much pain. That's why they're malnourished, deficient, everything. Okay? And so there's not going to be any evolution, innovation, or even longevity in those genetic lines because of what they practice, what they've done and doing. But there are those that don't have those kind of allergies. They're able to gain some weight. They're able to change things, calm the fuck down in this environment. Like literally calm down. Slow the frequencies down. Because again, yes, music can be addicting. Alcohol can be addicting. Drugs can be addicting. Traveling all the time can be addicting. And when you stop doing the things that you love to do, well, why would you do that? That's not life, Jillian. That's being like, you're withhold. If you plan to die someday, then do whatever the hell. It doesn't matter. Do whatever the hell, as long as it makes you happy. If you plan to die someday. But in the J world, if you don't plan to die someday, you have to do shit differently. Those that plan to die someday, okay, whatever. I don't care. I'm not talking to them. Okay, because they plan to die someday. So they'll go out with a bang and they'll love what they do. And we thank them for their service. They'll keep the infrastructure going. That's why J-Juice in the world of J-World, not even J-Juice, but J-World is so a minority, because we don't want all of society saying, okay, I'm going to change now. Okay, we want only a little bit of society making those major changes and transitioning. And some of you are in the J world who have been exposed to this information for such a long time, you're going to have to do shit differently. Like literally do shit differently. And see what it's like to do shit differently. And so, I did shit differently. I stopped going out every single weekend, hanging out with people. I stopped doing a lot of things. I stopped going to Starbucks too. I make my own coffee, have my own cream. I get stuff delivered. I don't go out and go shopping every weekend at the grocery store physically. I just get shit delivered. I've been doing a lot of things differently. What else have I done differently? Oh, God. I don't know. I've done so many changes, I can't even keep up with them. That's the thing. But then, like, people are, well, I have kids. I can't be that too much of a change because kids need stability. That's where you're going to have to figure out how are you going to balance saving yourself and keeping your kids somewhat, well, they may have to, see, when you're juggling a child that belongs to the system, because really when you have a kid, the kid doesn't really belong to you. It belongs to the system. Yeah, you're allowed to raise it. You're allowed to dress it up, and parade your child around everywhere. Say, here's my kid. But in reality, your kid belongs to the system. Your kid belongs to the government. It does not belong to you. When they're 18, they belong to themselves. Between 1 and 18, or whatever that legal age is, that kid belongs to the government. So now how are you going to balance out your duties to the government and you saving yourself? That's what mothers and fathers are going to have to figure out. How are they going to save themselves and also shape their kid and allow their kid to be shaped by the government until that kid has a mind of its own when it's 18 and can make their own choices? That's what's going to be interesting. And so you parents are going to have to figure out how are you going to juggle that? Okay? But the whole J world is about changing the way you do things so that way you get that jewel, whatever it is that you thought like that is, not say is missing because you wouldn't know it's missing because you just do what you do. But that aha moment when you realize everything that I've been saying, that's not just like, oh, Jillian sounds cool. She sounds interesting. That you will uncover the things that were buried from all the distractions and antibiotics and trauma and whatever else. Because I'll tell you, it has been a fucking wild ride doing this. And you're not always going to be perfect at displaying all these different changes. It's going to be quite messy for some people. But what's the alternative? You fall apart. You fall apart slowly. See, that's what you have to look at as far as the optics of it. When people are not bringing in the diverse food, well, bringing in the meat, milk, and the weight, when they're not facing their demons, or when they're not facing their demons, when they're not changing their lifestyle, they're not slowing the fuck down in the frequencies that they are exposing themselves to on a daily basis. When they're not doing that, then it's that slow falling apart. Then you have to be under the influence because it's painful falling apart because the body's going to want to live. And so when your hamstring is being ripped from your pelvic to wherever, and you have to go get an operation for that, when your arms don't work anymore, when you are so much weaker than you used to be because your body is falling apart, you think that's better than facing the demons when you're watching yourself fall apart as you are alive? Falling apart alive? That's the aging process, is the body deteriorating while you're still alive. Like watching your ankle break or watching your toes break. And you're still conscious. You're not even under anesthesia. And these kids are experiencing that. They can't even go and play the games they used to play because their bodies are too fragile. Or they die in the field. Even people my age or a little bit older are breaking apart, falling apart. Malnutrition, diseases, if they don't have all the diagnosable conditions, then they're just falling apart. They have osteoporosis. That's the alternative if you don't fucking change. And when you're skinny, that's even more going to be in your future. Even more so in this environment. Because remember, we're in an accelerated environment. Some places maybe not so much as accelerated as some places. But you're not going to know. And if you see the weather changing the way it's changing, see the storms brewing up, you're hearing that climate change in all places are going to be, it's going to be different. Temperatures are going to increase exponentially all over the world. That should be an indicator that you need to start packing on the fucking pounds and start relooking at the frequencies you are exposing yourself to every single day. And if you are in occupations or hobbies that have high frequencies, you should look at that. I'm not about trying to go and be creative if it's going to work against me. Creativity is one thing, that's great, but make sure that your body can handle it. What's the point in sacrificing yourself for the world to go and create something for somebody else when you are at the expense, when it's at the expense of you and your kid too? Because if you don't survive, Mom, neither will your child. And in this environment, they won't survive very long because this environment is even more aggressive. That's what I'm saying, that it's about the frequencies that you expose yourself every single day, and they are aggressive, and I feel them every night, and I feed them every day. And so when people don't know what the issue is or whose fault it is, they are given a scapegoat. They don't realize that it's been a generational combination of lifestyle, belief systems, politics, religion, and science pounded literally and figuratively in their community and family genetic line. And since people are miserable right now and they are suffering, yeah, they're under the influence. They have to be. Because they don't have the infrastructure in their whole world to say, okay, I'm going to change. They can't. And it's sad, but that's the reality. That's a lot of reality for my J world. Some people who've been around for a while, they don't have their kids, their friends and family, their lifestyle, even maybe their husbands or wives, won't let them change, won't let them relax. Because they can't. Because if they did take a back seat, literally, everyone around them would be like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? They have put themselves to be like the leader in everything. Because we've been taught that if we don't have public validation from friends and family and cohorts and associates, then we're nothing. There was a poster on my sister's wall a long time ago that says that you're no bunny until some bunny loves you. Yeah, that's a programming. When you're saying you're not loved, you're not somebody unless there's so many people that love you, that want you and love you and depend upon you. Yeah. That's how people become sacrificed. When they buy into that, you're no bunny until some bunny loves you. I didn't have that on my wall, thank fucking God. I had Alice in Wonderland, looking for Alice in Wonderland in a painting in my bedroom. I had yellow color programming in my bedroom. My sister had pink in her bedroom. Oh, there was definitely programming going on in my house. As I look back, I'm like, holy shit. Disney was everywhere. Disney, yes. The cedars, different, stone sculptures, paintings, art. I'm just like, fuck. But yeah, I had Alice in Wonderland in my room. So, yeah, let me tell you, if you don't love yourself and respect yourself, ain't no one going to do it. People are just going to use you. Your kids are going to use you. Your friends and family are going to use you. Everyone's going to use you until you decide to extricate yourself and save yourself. But yeah. So this is kind of like a weird stream today because I'll tell you, last night, just sleeping last night, I've been up like wide awake every single day for the last few weeks. It's been a very weird sleeping type of schedule. And yeah, it's been really weird. And then you see me being sick by data dumping. by going through memories and stuff. And so I don't get sick, conventionally sick, like people do with the whole, mucusing up and feeling like they have a cold or a flu or a headache or rashes or anything else. It's just the memories that are the unresolved memories, like the thing with the journalists and the reporters stuff and what was going on with, the whole J world and all that. That was a recent trauma within the last 5 years. I already went through all my childhood traumas. That's all done with. And I didn't have to defame anyone or throw anyone under the bus, and I'm not a victim. And there's no crime been committed because everyone was licensed. See how that shit works? When you're not licensed, you're doing behavior modification. Well, then were they getting instruction from someone who was licensed? So even then, that someone has to go and figure out in their world how they want to go about doing shit. Does it pay to be a victim in our society? No, it doesn't. Because again, who wins? The reporters, the journalists, and the lawyers. And Netflix. Because they're like, oh yeah, look at this. That's it makes me wonder that when we have 7.9 billion to 12.9 billion and everyone's under so much different programming and they're going to act out, that's like entertainment for years. That's like entertainment for years. Watching people's real reality stories and or art imitating life and life imitating art. That's Netflix. You don't even need Hollywood when you think about it. Because all you gotta do is just watch someone who's been through some shit and they don't know any better how the shit works, and so they think they're gonna get a big payday, and all they're doing is getting exploited. And all the gory, nitty-gritty details are coming out. And people are like salivating on that, titillated by that. That's gonna be the entertainment, is watching people rise and then fucking fall flat on their face. That's what reality is nowadays. That's the reality shows, that's the movies. And then of course all the spirit stuff. And so when I posted those reels about Hollywood and they're looking like each other, I wouldn't say they're like exact clones, because obviously not. But definitely there's DNA cloning and also the sexual programming. There's like the Breakfast Club programming. You can program someone to be like a Bill Gates or like an actual Bill Gates, or someone that plays a part of someone who's a nerd. So there's specific programming that a certain look in Hollywood that they look for. Not only a leading star, a heartthrob, or a female heartthrob, or a male heartthrob, or non-binary heartthrob, but then the villains, like a Jack Nicholson. And you have the nerds, and you have the rebels, again, the same thing, and you have the socialites, same thing as the heartthrobs. And you have the weirdos, the goth type, someone like the feminists. I'm thinking like Firuza Balk, and who else is like a goth? Well, not say goth, but a disaffected, like a Daria in MTV. Jen something. Yeah. You'll have all the Saturday Night Live skit people playing those parts, the goofy comedians. Okay, I mean, there's so much programming going on. So yeah, Hollywood looks like each other. They all look, because they've all been groomed. Sexual grooming is like, yeah, penetration is what gives those hormones to make you look awesome at some point. And the earlier the better. That's why the shit happens where they call them pedos in Hollywood, because that's what they do. It's a lot of sexual grooming. I didn't have that as far as I know like that, but I'm sure there's other ways things can be done. But I don't know. I don't remember as a baby what anything, So that's the undetected mind control, is when you're a baby, you don't know shit what happens to you. You don't know shit. But it's not like it's a crime, because licensed people know what the fuck they're doing when they're doing behavior modification. So we know that shit goes on in Hollywood, and why these girls come out looking like they're about to go and procreate with everybody, and everyone's just like going gaga over them. Yeah, that's a programming. That's not like cloning per se. That's programming. And you will see all different cultures out there look like that. And you'll see them go out there and influence people. You see that already, like in Ukraine, they're doing that. Of course, Bollywood, like Hollywood. And even in Nigeria, in Africa, they'll have that. Okay, all these different countries are going to emulate what was done in the United Kingdom, Europe, as well as America. It's going to be a one world, and you'll see, and you'll see people repeat, like, what do you call it? Reinvent the wheel. But now those in the first world, in the J world, you know what's going on. Now you know what's going on. Now it's going to be interesting to see how you're going to change the way you do shit so you survive this, because the climate is not getting any calmer anytime soon. If anything, it's accelerating at a very aggressive pace. And some of you will get it. Others of you will have to live out your life the way it is. Because when you're constantly having so many frequencies taken from you, even if you're feeding the frequencies, are you just kind of at a relative equilibrium, but then also working against you? I had to literally stop hanging out with people so I can get my life back. I literally had a behavioral change. Stop hanging out with people every single weekend so I can get my life back. When you literally have to stop the music from playing, when you literally have to stop hanging out and drinking and doing drugs and wean yourself off of that, when you literally have to stop those frequencies from taking from you, is when you will see then the intelligence build up. But that takes an actual behavioral lifestyle change. Can you do that? That's what I mean by how you're going to get ahead of this shit. Can you literally stop spouting about anti-V? Can you literally stop worrying about dying from the fucking train derailment? Okay? That's what I'm talking about. Can you literally bring in food and transition onto foods that you might have been allergic to and go through that process? Those are behavioral changes. That's what they look for in the psychology world, is behavioral changes. It's one thing to recognize what needs to happen. It's another thing to actually change behaviorally. Okay? And that's what you need to look for in yourself. Can you literally change the way you do shit? Literally change. Because I'll tell you, words sound great. I love great words, believe me. But do I have what it takes to live those words? And so that's what you guys have to figure out. And then you have to figure out how you're going to straddle making sure your kid is government material, because they have to be. Your kid has to literally be government material. And if they even survive government material, you can try to implement stuff, but if they have so many predisposed issues, the government's not going to want your kid to suffer per se from trying to go through those issues. And then, your friends and family are not going to let you do that either. So it's almost like, you really can't really save your kids. They're going to have to run through their programming, and you hope they survive. You hope they're not allergic to milk. You hope they're not allergic to really any food, because then that will work against you. Because then when they go out there in public and there's those foods available, and it could be in the air, it could be in other foods that you don't realize, and you have to examine every single ingredient carefully, and they go into anaphylactic shock, then you have to go get an EpiPen and stab them every time with an EpiPen all the time. And it's not going to be the world for them, because it's so accelerated. So you hope your kid doesn't have food allergies. You just hope. And so better to get them into diverse food now so you know what you're dealing with, But if they're finicky with food, forget it. Because in this environment, you need the meat, the milk, cheese, the eggs, fruits and vegetables. But you need more than meat and the milk. You need the gluten, you need the fat. You can't get away with a very tiny diet, the way these kids have been brought up. Finicky about food and food intolerant. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. But So anyways, today I'm actually pretty calm. Like, literally, I'm pretty calm. The last couple of days I've been just like going through things and data dumping. Now I'm just like chilling out. But I'll tell you, once now I get, so is there, after the Dr. Phil stuff, right? After all the J World stuff, how much more trauma will I be dumping? No, there won't be. Now what's next? See, now what's next? What's going to be after I've dealt with all my trauma, physical and psychological and intellectual? What's next? Well, that's the thing. That's what is so exciting. We don't know what's next. Because I'll tell you, I'm not going to repeat what happened around Dr. Phil days. I'm not going to get with any freaking reporter and be like, oh, tell my story. I'm not going to have any documentary done on me, not until like way down the road, and then I'm going to be the one to determine all the terms and conditions of the contracts. So I have a lot of time. I will write another book. It won't be for a while now, because I want to enjoy my life and watch shit unfold. So what's next? Oh, there's so much going on out there. And let me see, there was something that, okay. Hold on. What is going on here? Okay. Yeah, there was a meme I wanted to read. Okay. Fucking Facebook has so many stupid glitches. All right. Okay, there's a meme I wanted to read. Because it's over here in Ohio, it's aggressive. It's freaking aggressive. I watched that movie Marnie. The 1960s was telling you. Sean Connery is hot. I'll tell you, oh my God, he's so hot. The guys back in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, oh my God, the men were fucking hot. They were groomed to be that way. Okay, so there's nothing else to say. I just keep eating and feeding and releasing. So I was responding to these two posts in some of these those suddenly groups. Just saw a post from a distant relative in Ohio. One her good school friends was found dead early yesterday a.m. She was a mom and only mid-20s. They're still looking into the cause of death, but I have a horrible feeling it was the you-know-what. Well, they're blaming it on the V's, but it's not that. It's not that. There's so much more going on than just the V's. And then person goes, I'm so sorry to hear that. Where in Ohio? I'm in Cincinnati, and I've heard of lots and lots of people having cancer. More than I've ever seen, and I'm 58 years old. There also have been so many horrible, bizarre car accidents where people are just driving insanely fast, passing cars in the shoulder of the interstate, aiming guns at people, and just driving off the road into buildings and people. There's always been some of that, but not to the degree that there is now. And someone goes, same here. I'm from Ohio, Chagrin Falls in Northeast Ohio. See, yeah. Let me tell you, with these frequencies, forget the V's, because we people that have V's and I have V's, and they're still doing shit. Stuff's going on. These frequencies, the heat, the climate change, the frequencies, particle acceleration, again, it's going to accelerate people's inclination to do stuff. They have anxiety, they have adrenaline issues, they have violence issues, they're highly triggered, they're trying to lose weight, they're trying to gain weight. So many things are going on, and they're also deficient, and so then the cancers are fast moving. Like cancers are you get diagnosed with cancer one day and then you die the next day. That's kind of what we're looking at here when you're so in deficit, and then the body wants to live, so then these cancer cells, and then you have another thing like a branch trying to grow off the human, like literally using you as a host, and then trying to grow another human on top of that. That's what cancer is. It's like a branch it's like not a branch, like a tree growing a new branch. That's the infinite sacred geometry of life. That's what cancer is. It's like you are the tree and you are growing another branch. And then the system has to go in and scoop and cut off that branch because they don't want that branch to take over and destroy you. But in the process, since you're not assimilating, you will be destroyed by the system because they're going to use so many aggressive frequencies on you. And so, yeah, there's a lot of fast-moving cancers out there. And not only fast-moving cancers, but then the deterioration of people. Their mouth is going to be falling apart. Everything is going to be deteriorating. And bones are going to break, and muscles are going to tear, and oh my God. And so that's why I'm so addicted. Addicted is the wrong word, but I'm so drinking the milk, eat my pork chops, eat my red meat. I drink my cream, my coffee. I have my fruit juice. I eat my carbs. And nothing is off the table. And I don't want to be skinny. I do not want to be skinny in this environment. Oh, fuck no. Because once you become skinny and you are aging aggressively, it is very hard to catch up with that and try to reverse that. Because of how aggressive it is in this environment. You have to bring in so much food and pull out the program. And even if you're obese, now you have to bring in a lot of food, yes, and pull out the programming daily. And if you're feeling sick, you have to stay home. You can't try to destroy the symptoms. You have to cough, sneeze, blow your nose, but then people are gaining weight aggressively in this environment. What the heck? Because they're probably not pulling out the shit. Might be eating all the food and dealing with their sickness by not taking anything and feeding it, but are they pulling out the shit out of their body? Because that's what's making you obese, is all the poop in your body that is stuck up in there, that you're not willing to go and figure out how to get it out. I know people go get enemas and stuff. Okay, do what you got to do. But at some point, when you get to a regular relative size, you're going to have to do it yourself without having to rely on enemas and all that stuff. But that's what's necessary for those who are morbidly obese, is they have to have somebody go in and help them get rid of that programming that's causing them to blow up. But on the other end, someone who's so skinny has to bring on the weight and pull out the stuff that's causing them to be so emaciated and underweight where they can't even get ahead of that. You don't want to be super skinny in this environment because it will work against you. At least with the weight, you can pull out stuff and you can go through that energy conversion. Yeah, you'll be hot and sweaty and all that stuff because the body has to go through the processes. But you don't want to be skinny. You don't want to be skinny. You don't want to be fucking skinny in this environment because the environment will cannibalize you. And what will happen too is then your infrastructure will be compromised. Because what else does the body, if the body doesn't have the adipose tissue and the substance to do the energy conversion, then your vital organs and your bones will then be used as the energy conversion and used as a tool for the environment to capitalize on. That's why you don't want to be skinny. And so I'm so glad that my husband, because when I met him, he was really skinny because it was a lower frequency environment. He was doing a lot of landscaping at the time, and it was hot, of course, in the summer times. But when we were on the truck together, we both were eating, at the gas station all the time. The gas station pizzas and eating on the road, eating the Chef Boyardee. So we both, and we were out in Florida eating like lobster and eating steak and eating everywhere, right? And so we were both gaining some weight, which was good. We were gaining weight for this time. And so my husband is now built like a fucking brick shit house, and I'm going to try to keep him as stable as possible and make sure he doesn't take too many things against the symptoms that are out there. But thank God we were on the truck for that many years, taking on the fat, taking on the substance. Thank God. Thank the world. And so I think the trucking industry saved my husband, because if he has strong bones, yes, but he needs the fat. He needs that insulation. So, because remember when the climate changed in 2019 or 2020, and when it changed that aggressively in 2020, like in September of 2020, yeah, he fainted. But he had enough fat on his body to keep him alive. If he didn't have that fat on his body, he could have died from something. I don't know what it was. We didn't know what it was. He did go get a test for it, but there was no heart attack enzyme, so he didn't have a heart attack. He had some kind of indigestion that caused him to faint. But he hasn't had that since. Okay? And so that's what I'm saying, is that you need the fat. Because when the environment fucking changes so aggressively and you don't have any any insulation to you because you have so many frequencies in your environment that's eating up your soul, your body, mind, and spirit, you won't survive a major frequency shift. You won't survive it. And there's already indicators. But people ignore them. They're like, oh, I can survive it because I know the jelly juice world. Jelly juice ain't going to fucking save you. Jelly juice is ionic. It's the food that's going to save you. It's the food. And slowing down your lifestyle and potentially even taking a break from what you're doing. So you can take on the fat. Redirect. That's why I mentioned yesterday about the frequencies with music, the frequencies with whatever it is that they could be taken away from you. You might be enjoying it and you might be creating something for other people out there, but what about yourself? You have to save yourself. Well, you don't have to. You don't have to save yourself. But if you want to understand the J world, you got to save yourself. And it's not about pleasing other people out there. Now it's about making sure that you stay alive. And when you stay alive and you save yourself, you'll have enough substance for you to share with the world and give to the world and potentially get some compensation for that. And you can afford it literally. You can biologically afford your lifestyle. But right now people are biologically bankrupt and they are living on borrowed time. They're living on fumes at this point. And they don't know it because they're under the influence. Like zombies. They don't know that they're dead until someone takes a sword right in the head, like in The Walking Dead. That's right now our society. We have a lot of zombies in our society that don't know they're dead until another frequency comes through and zaps. Done. You don't want to be in that position. You want to be someone that, you may be affected by the frequency change, but you wake up and you bring in the food. You're bringing the food really aggressively. And you release the demons. You bring the food, release the demons, and chill the fuck out. Because in this environment, you want to chill out. You want to take the naps. You don't want to have a highfalutin lifestyle. You really don't. Because it will work against you. Not only be caught in the crossfire, but then the frequencies out there, wherever you're going, are going to take also from you. That's why you must understand frequency. And it can be converted into music, into drugs, into oncology, into herbs, extracts, and lifestyle, and belief system, and religion, and politics, and science. And then people start speaking for you because you can't speak for yourself. And then the train has left the station. You're done. And that's what's going on right now. You have been groomed to never speak for yourself. You've been groomed to always give yourself to everybody else. And it's going to work against you. Maybe you should turn it around. All right, bye.